youth, the red, the green, the hope, the truth, are beating me black and blue, 'cause you're in every scene. My friends try to cheer me up, get together at the Pizza Hut. I didn't have the heart to tell them that was our place. These sleepy streetlights on every sidewalk, side street, shed a light on everything that used to be. Give me back my hometown, 'cause this is my hometown. This is the Community Solutions Podcast, episode 101. Brand new era. Coming, Andrew Richter, Jason Bradley.
Yes, our option renewed. We'll hit arbitration at the end of the year here. And
I like it.
Yeah, so that's when we can really cash in on our contract extension with ourselves. Lyrics very appropriate for what we're going to discuss when we get there.
Yes.
Of course, I have no idea who that is. Now, hold on.
You probably wouldn't.
I probably wouldn't. Give me a hint.
Well, take a look around. Notice your surroundings. Maybe I shouldn't say that.
I
give our location away a little bit.
That's right. The underground layer. Yeah, we don't want to give that away. That was, I'll take a guess, that was Run DMC.
Yes. No. I went outside the rock and roll genre just a little, but not really. This guy blends country and rock together. It relies as heavily on AC/DC as he does Merle Haggard, I think. This is Eric Church, Give Me Back My Hometown.
Eric Church. Okay.
Yeah.
I get the reference now. Let me just say this. Blending country and rock, there's few people who can do that.
Charlie Daniels Band.
Dwight Yoakam would be one of my favorites. He has more of like a bluesy sound.
Big and Rich.
Big and Rich would be a good one. It is a rare thing that those two things can kind of...
Jason Aldean does a pretty good job.
See, he's too new for me.
He's super new. Same with Brantley Gilbert.
Okay, you're still going over my head here. Was that America's Got Talent or something? I
don't think so. No.
Last time I watched that, Kelly Clarkson won. So it's been a while.
I don't think that was that show.
Oh, wasn't? With Simon?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was the other one.
American Idol.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. No, it was the last time I watched that. Did Carrie Underwood win that?
Yeah.
It was either her or it was the big fat guy with the guy from Canada. What was...
The guy from Canada, a big fat guy?
Yeah, Ruben something. And,
Ruben stuttered.
Yeah, what's the other guy's name? Bieber. Justin Bieber?
Bieber.
Exactly.
Yeah, Biebler.
That's what I said. So
the
it was
Biebler
around that time was the last time I watched it.
All right.
It's I think my VCR crapped out, my one I had before that one I have now.
As famously found on the internet, the whole Alex Jones rant on... There's a whole lot of things more important than Justin Bieber. Magellan was way cooler.
America.
So
he does a good rant once in a while, but that's a bad one. Now, Jay, we got to jump right into this stuff here because we got a lot of little things to discuss.
We haven't done a local lowdown for a little while. I think it's time we do that.
Maybe the first one in 2019.
Yes.
I
mean, we've done some local shows. We've talked about things in certain localities like
this
Big
is
Lake,
our lightning round here.
like Big Lake. But yeah, these are just quick little hits. We're going to let you know what's going on around the state.
One of our favorite cities is in the news. No, not Newhall.
No, it's
a different New.
One of our second favorites.
New Brighton. What's going on in New Brighton? Some controversy going on.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, unless I were to read the Community Solutions blog.
Yeah, it's like Tommy Kramer, the mayor there. What's going on here?
Two-fist Tommy. Two-fist Val.
Neither arm could throw.
I don't know.
But it seems like the mayor, Val Johnson, got busted. If I'm reading this story right,
yes,
TwinCities.com is where, if you go to our blog, CommunitySolutionsMN.com, you'll find the story. I've been like I said on a previous show, Jay, I found this thing called Amazon Prime.
Yes.
And I've had it for 3 years now and didn't know it. Okay.
Wow.
So you can like watch shows on there. Okay, I didn't know this. I even figured out how to put it on our TV. My wife and I have a little TV, not a big one in our bedroom, but
yeah.
I found out how to do that too. Okay. Probably very 2005-ish, but I still figured it out. And I've been on a Dukes of Hazzard binge watching.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, with a Confederate flag on the top of General Lee.
Yes.
You people out there even know the reference of General Lee, which is probably, well, our audience is smarter than the average.
Yes.
But that's where I came up with my title here for the article. Shame, shame, everybody knows your name. That's Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Yes.
So the New Brighton mayor gets the old D-dub. Is it true? According to this article,
yeah,
she spent a couple days, speaking of Dukes of Hazzard, she spent a couple days in the pokey.
Yeah.
It seems like. The local DFL didn't bail her out?
Well, I mean, there was no trick in the local sheriff either.
That's true.
And,
couldn't
doing
get
the
Enos, couldn't get Cletus or anybody to go.
Barney Fife. He ends up in the cell and she's running. No.
Who was the drunk on the Andy Griffith show that would let him himself in and out of jail? Remember that? Okay.
No.
I think that was on about 5 years ago. Anyhow, okay. So the mayor of New Brighton, who's kind of known as a little slush here, was twice first off, she was pulled over at 2 a.m. Jay, can I say something here? Nothing good happens at 2 a.m.
No, if you're going to get drunk and drive home, do it at like 5. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do it at all.
Right, but I mean, what good happens at 2 a.m.?
Nothing.
Just asking.
There's really nothing good that happens at 2 a.m.
So clearly, she closed her down.
Yeah,
okay,
clearly,
and was twice the exceeding the legal limit. I want to add, too, that she was driving 54 in a 40.
Ooh.
And she had expired tabs.
Ooh. You're just asking to get pulled over.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is, again, I'll give you a Roscoe Coltrane. That is naughty. I mean, what the heck? That's three things right there.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'll tell you what. How about that mugshot, Jay? Isn't she a beauty? Deer in headlights. Anyhow. So she had slurry speech, bloodshot, watery eyes, 0.17. Now, I'll tell you something. The most I ever blew in a breathalyzer, I was in Las Vegas, and they had I wasn't driving, but they had a thing where you could blow in to see how screwed up you were. And I remember I was seeing 4 of them, and I came up, I was a 0.27.
Okay.
Now, I couldn't have driven to the elevator from there. So 0.17's pretty screwed up. Okay. So she had about 31 too many. And apparently she, here's my favorite. The day that this article came out, she couldn't be reached that afternoon for a comment. You want to know why?
Why?
Well, she had missed happy hour. So, to be honest, I mean, to be serious for a second, I mean, she's damn lucky she didn't kill anybody.
Exactly.
And where is her resignation? That's what I want to know.
Well,
if she went out and robbed a bank, she'd be forced out.
Like, do people on the left feel any shame? Heck, there's a lot of people on the right that don't feel any shame either. And then
wins for their team is all that matters.
That's a problem with politics in general. Politicians from the left and the right feel that they are above the law. And when they are caught breaking a law, they don't feel any shame about it, don't feel like, they should be held to account for that.
No, if anything, they turn it around on...
Yeah.
Somehow turn it around on someone else.
Well, I mean, look at our illustrious representative here in the 5th CD, Ilhan Omar, who has more moving violations than the Duke boys, has campaign finance questions, we'll call them. There's investigations going on into multiple campaign finance.
And I don't know why these investigations are taking so long.
But yet she gets to go serve and now pull a forever pension from serving.
She's got to serve 8 years, I think, to get that.
Is it 8? Yeah.
But
this is the 5th CD.
She'll serve as long as she wants to.
Yeah.
I mean, but I would agree. that we've lowered the standards so much on both sides that it's almost like when these things come out, it's almost, I mean, on the one hand, I don't like somebody's life getting torn apart.
No, and nobody's perfect.
Yeah, and we can't expect candidates for office to have never made a mistake or done something stupid when they were 18. I mean, if that's the standard,
right.
we might as well,
because it can go too far in the other direction when people are digging up dirt for campaigns and stuff. It does. It goes way too far in the other direction. But then when there actually is something that is, they should answer for that, they don't.
Yeah. Well, it's bad all the way around there. So, yeah. So we'll see what happens with Mayor Johnson in New Brighton. If this were Crystal, and she was charged with a felony, that's grounds, according to the Crystal City Charter, for removal.
Wow. Maybe other cities should become a charter city.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Now, Jay, you got an interesting thing in the news there from a certain school district that we'll blab for in a minute.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking... and just grab it here. We are talking about the school district that is right up in the Zimmerman Elk River area. In fact, ISD 728. 728 is Elk River, Zimmerman, Otsego, and Rogers.
Yeah, and remember this. So this is not St. Paul. This is not Minneapolis. Yeah. This is not L.A. This is
Yes.
Just keep in mind that, but what we're saying, we talk about local problems being everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we found this from somebody we know up there. This was put out.
Our secret.
It's not that
secret spies.
It was put out there on the Zimmerman bullet board.
Oh,
so
was it?
Bulletin board, not bullet board. Bulletin
spies
board.
Like us. It's not spies like us.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like Spies Like Us. Oh, my word. I haven't seen that movie in too long. Okay. I'm going to just read this verbatim. I started reading it to you off air, and I was like, you know what? We're having some fun with this. Why don't we just read it on air and see what happens?
We don't rehearse. I know that's amazing, but it's the truth.
FYI, the parents of 9th and 11th grade students in ISD 728 Campus Messenger sent an email in reference to a student survey that is scheduled for February 6th. So that's coming up here from when we're recording this in about a week. After reviewing the content of the survey, I am glad for the opt-out option. You might be too. The following is a sampling of the 27-page 85 questions.
What kind of questions? I mean, that's 3 questions a page.
Yes.
Look, my SATs weren't 27 pages long.
Yeah. Well, let's see what valuable information they're getting out of
Jay,
this.
let me say, if you have an opt-out option,
yes,
okay, and half the kids opt out, then this entire thing is meaningless anyway.
Absolutely. If you have like a small sampling, what good does it do? You know what you do is you're identifying the people that you're trying. You're getting rid of the people that you don't want to answer this anyways, and you're finding the people that do to give you an excuse.
They know certain people don't want their kids answering this.
Yes.
Stuff.
Okay. So, are you ready?
No, but go anyway.
Okay. Maybe we should just play along, and you could no. We'll just have fun.
I'll be more than happy to take the survey.
What is your biological sex?
Okay, so that's one question on a page that we're averaging 3 questions. Now, you'd think there'd be 2 choices, right?
Probably.
How many choices are there?
Maybe this is why it's 85 questions, because there's like 129 genders now, right? And something like that.
Well, there's I don't know, there's no opinion, there's right? Isn't there? None of the above.
Stay out of my beeswax.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and that's the thing.
So what are the choices? What are my choices if you want me to answer this?
Well, biological sex. I mean, that can only be male or female. I believe.
I don't know.
Because we're just talking about male and female. That's biologically. That's all people can be, except in very small exceptions. Anyways. So I believe
I don't even want to go there.
Yeah, I believe this is the next question, and this is where it starts to get a little odd, because there is a list of way over 100 genders that somebody can be.
100 genders.
Yes. And I think they can change. That's why, and we'll get into that.
Sure, you can take a knife and anything can change.
Oh no,
John Bobbitt, he was a.
It is how you feel, Andrew.
Oh,
it's about how you feel. Okay. You got to get in touch with your feelings here, Andrew. So I'm just
real men don't do that.
I'm going to pause for just like a second so you can get in touch with your feelings.
All right, I'm going to hug myself.
Yeah, you do that. Okay. Are you transgender? Gender queer, I think. I think it's spelled maybe.
So you can get kicked out of school for playing Smear the Queer, but they can put queer on a questionnaire.
I guess so. Gender fluid, and that's what you can choose. It's fluid. You may be one thing one day, and you might feel like something else the next day, and it's okay.
I won't say what I thought gender fluid was. Then go ahead.
This is a family show. Stop
I know.
Are you male, trans man, trans masculine, female, trans woman, trans feminine? What is the difference between trans man and trans male?
It's where the knife is when the surgery is happening. I don't know. No, trans male is when you steal a mail truck and a guy steals a mail truck. They're trans male. They're trans in the mail.
It's when you take the mail out of your neighbor's mailbox and put it in the mailbox on the other side, and then you know.
But what's trans man? Is that somebody 18 and older?
I guess maybe that's it. Maybe you're not.
So then why are ninth graders being asked that question?
Well, 11th grade. No, 11th graders still generally, unless they flunked a grade or two, aren't 18 yet.
Well, you know me, high school, the best 7 years of my life.
Yeah. A lot of people go to school for 8 years. Yeah, they're called doctors.
Yeah, and they're on their parents' health insurance till they're 26.
Okay, so we don't know what any of that means. How you can be either trans male or female and trans man or woman.
What company is putting this on? There's obviously a consulting group doing this.
Well, obviously.
Doesn't matter. Well, next question. Yeah. Next question.
Okay. Are you non-binary? Does that mean like you're not made up of ones and zeros, or does that mean there's a lot of gray area where like maybe you don't say yes or no very easily?
Is there don't know, no opinion on a choice?
Non-binary means.
That means
binary is, I believe, male and female.
No, it means that you volunteer. It's non-binding.
Oh. No, I think it's like, are you other than male or female, or do you see more options? That's something like that. Are you very or mostly feminine, somewhat feminine, equally feminine, and masculine, somewhat masculine? Of course, it doesn't look like they included very or mostly masculine.
Of course not. You can't be that.
That would be
you'd come out of the testicle lockbox then.
That would be what do they call that? Toxic masculinity. Yes.
No, anybody who's like that is a complete chauvinist, right?
Yes, toxic masculinity is the new term for that, for men who are men.
I like toxic feminism. That's what I like.
Yeah?
I don't like it.
No.
Why isn't that a choice?
Because, I guess.
Gloria Steinem keeps it off.
Do you describe yourself as heterosexual, bisexual, gay, or lesbian, questioning, or not sure? Pansexual, queer, or something else with thing capitalized.
This is being asked of ninth graders.
Yeah.
Okay, when I was in ninth grade, I don't know what's happened in the past. So I was in ninth grade in the 91-92 school year. Yes. I remember the Twins won the World Series with the Halloween Blizzard. I was a freshman at Cooper. When did something like this ever enter the school? I mean, I don't remember. And look, I know that I had a lot of fun in high school, and schoolwork came second for me. Okay, but what has happened to where who is 14 years old and has declared themselves other by the time they're 14? These people can't work, can't drive, can't take a Tylenol without their mom's permission. Mm-hmm. And we're going to ask them questions about whether about their femininity and about whether they're gay or straight. What business is it of the schools?
Absolutely.
First off, what business is it of theirs?
Yeah, absolutely. But it gets better, Andrew.
What if they would have asked your religion or your, something like your political affiliations? Would that be okay?
Well, anything's on the table with these people. Anything. But this gets worse, Andrew, believe it or not.
I believe it.
As wonderful as that is. When did you last have intercourse?
Oh, my God.
How many people have you had intercourse with over the past 12 months?
Well, I'll tell you what. When I was in 9th and 11th grade, that was a very easy answer. 0.
Yep.
I admit it. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
Have you traded sex for money, food, drugs?
Oh, my God.
Do you sniff glue, use LSD, crack, coke, meth, or pot? So this is just a sampling of the 85 questions over 27 pages of just pure warmth and liberal love.
Here's how much things have changed.
Yes.
Do you know? Well, I'm really getting personal here.
Okay.
Do you know the first time I ever smelled marijuana in my life?
I do not.
Have I talked about this on the air?
No.
I was in the Cooper locker room in high school.
Yes.
And it was after school, and I don't recall what grade this was. It was either freshman or sophomore, because I was younger than, because the varsity, I wasn't, they were there, and I hate the smell of it, and I still do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And I actually asked somebody next to me, what is that? And the person didn't know. And we had to go to a third person. They were like, oh, that's marijuana. And I'm like, oh, it is? I wouldn't have known what marijuana was if it was sitting next to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known what it was. I mean, did I live a sheltered life, or have things changed that much?
They've changed that much.
Really?
Yeah.
I still to this day would not know if speed, Quaaludes, LSD was sitting on this table. I wouldn't know it. That's how little I know.
Right.
I mean, it's just incredible. That is mind-boggling. Just mind-boggling. Now I'm really ticked.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's fantastic. That's going out to 9th and 11th graders in the Zimmerman district.
Well, you can so the kids will graduate not knowing how to spell their own name, but we'll know if they're queer or if they're do LSD or if they're they've been trading sex for money, which is a crime, by the way.
Right.
We'll know all that stuff. Very valuable for our public education system.
Yeah. Yeah. Between that and, well, we won't get into the other stuff I'm ticked off about today, but we'll leave that till another show. We're going to start to move into a little larger scope. How about let's put that stuff behind us for the rest of the broadcast here.
To be continued, I have a feeling.
Yeah, I have a feeling we haven't heard the last about that. What you said you had a little national thing that you wanted to swing out here before we cover our topic for the day.
And I want to mention something, too. Governor Walz is about to introduce his budget.
Oh, that's right.
And in his budget, it is rumored to be that he wants to do away with school referendums.
Wow.
And
now, that just doesn't mean that the taxes won't ever go up.
No, that means that we're not going to have a say in what is going to happen.
That really is the best way, Andrew, because
too much freedom
really
again. That's just a problem. I mean, I'm just teasing. When we get the details in a couple of weeks, when the governor's budget comes out, we intend to analyze that, as probably nobody else will. Everybody else will just be,
more money for schools. This will be great.
Yeah, well, I don't know. We know that one side will probably fold.
Let's do it for the children.
Right. Yeah. Let's have more surveys for the children. Yeah. There's an issue.
How much did that cost?
Yeah, no kidding. Who put that together? What consultant that they paid $100,000 to?
Your last referendum you guys approved out in Zimmerman and Elk River paid for that. Good job.
Yeah, probably. I just want to touch on something.
Yes.
There's been some talk recently. President Trump put out feelers that and this is for our younger viewers who may not remember, or listeners, I'm sorry,
yeah.
Who may not be as familiar with this as maybe you and I would be,
right,
about the future of NATO and whether NATO is serving.
NATO with a T, right? Not NATO, like National Association of Development Organizations.
Right,
okay.
yeah. It's NATO.
Yeah, yes.
NATO.
No, it's NATO.
Now, and I am curious. We did a little short thing a couple of weeks ago about the Romney-Trump feud, which is really an insider-outsider argument. I am beside myself at the establishment reaction to the president hasn't proposed a thing.
All right.
He's saying, okay, NATO. Why was NATO created? It was created as a buffer against the expansion of communism after World War II. Right. And I would argue NATO was fairly successful at that.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the things that helped stop a potential nuclear conflict, which we always feared for decades.
Right.
If you're 50 or 60 or our age or older, I mean, I'm sure you know what we're talking about here. We lived through that. And the reaction to him questioning, I've been wondering for the last, what the Berlin Wall went down in 1989. That's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, when the Iron Curtain, the Eastern European, Poland, Czechoslovakia, which is now a couple countries.
Right.
And same thing with Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
And the Soviet Union fell in 1992, 91.
Something like that, yeah.
I want to say it was on Christmas. I don't know why I have a vision it was on Christmas.
Huh.
Why don't you Google that while I'm talking?
All right.
I'm going to say Christmas of 91, but I could be wrong. And we are still in NATO. What NATO's doing, I don't even know. We are largely financing NATO. And here we are. Here people are complaining about the defense budget. They're complaining about, us being spread thin over the world. Well, why isn't a reevaluation of something like NATO not only necessary and healthy, but 27 years overdue?
December 26th, 1991.
Wow, I was pretty darn close. Okay.
Yeah. It was Canadian Boxing Day, wasn't it?
I don't know what that was. Couldn't tell you that, but Jay, come on. I mean, what is? I mean, do you know that in NATO, okay, we could potentially go to a war defending nuclear, if possible, defending the country of Latvia. Now, how many adults do you think could find Latvia on a map?
Not many.
How many do you think could find Canada on a map?
Well, a few more.
A few more, but you'd be surprised.
Right.
So why isn't that on the... We could still sign a treaty with England or France or NATO could be repurposed for something else. I don't know what. But what is wrong with... I'm baffled at what the outrage is about questioning something that really its purpose has been defunct now for more than a quarter century.
Yes and no. I mean, if you believe the hype, I guess. I mean, it's with the way Putin is running Russia. Is there any possibility of putting something like that back together?
So repurposing it.
Yeah,
and is the president wrong to demand other countries pay their fair share?
No.
And us not be the financer of all of this. I mean,
no, other countries should be, and I think that there is, there's possibly a reason to keep some sort of coalition together with how aggressive Putin has been.
I think that is...
in countries that do
worthy.
Surround Russia. I mean, you're talking like you mentioned Latvia, and then you have Estonia and Lithuania, which are all right there in Belarus. And so...
down to the Ukraine and everywhere else,
I think that there's probably... I could be talked into, having something like that, as someone who's a bit more libertarian than most. I'm like, bring our troops home wherever it doesn't make sense to have them. But when you have a threat, or a perceived threat, it's not good maybe to vacate everything.
I would never advocate vacating everything. But I think that rethinking Cold War... alliances. Mm-hmm. How about Eastern Europe? I mean, Eastern Europe's closer to Russia than England. Why are where are our talks with Poland? Mm-hmm. If Russia invades somewhere, it's not going to be Spain. So
that's true.
I mean, I think it'd be an interesting conversation to have. I don't understand why people aren't open to it. I don't understand why they're not open to thinking forward and not worrying about, I mean, who knows? Maybe these European countries are like, hey, you know what? I don't want to go to war over, some tiff somewhere or not have a choice as to whether we do it or not. I mean, it's...
But the same thing. I mean, we've seen Putin jab at Georgia, at Ukraine.
And he's probably going to continue that.
He probably will.
Is NATO the right mechanism for that, though? We can one-on-one agree with a country for a common defense like South Korea.
Right.
We don't have to be part of a 30-member organization that's eating up our tax dollars, going into things that it was never intended to be.
Right.
And I don't know why I'm disappointed, because whatever the president does, it's pounced on no matter what he does.
Right.
But it's like these people in Washington need to leave Washington once in a while. And that includes the president, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I think after the State of the Union, he needs to get out of there. He needs to start talking about the economy again. Mm-hmm. And he's winning on these issues more broadly speaking, I think, more than people are realizing. I think in the end, he's going to get what he wants. But he's got to go back to what he was doing before. Mm-hmm. Going to town halls, going to rallies, getting the troops going. He's very underrated at that. But I'm the Washington establishment, and I know people overuse the word establishment, is just baffling me with their lack of, and that goes for everybody, left and right. It goes from the Bill Cristols of the world to the Gary Harts of the world to the establishment Democrats, Council on Foreign Relations, which includes members of the media and so on. And Dan Rather's on it.
Yeah,
I mean, these people wouldn't know a new idea if it ran them over.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, and when you have people that are globalist by nature running these big organizations and putting the policy out there, writing policy, writing laws or bills, anyways, that then get picked up by people in Congress. What else do you expect?
I don't know. I don't know why I expect something different, I guess. I just think that conversation is just long overdue. It's been a conversation that we should have had in the 90s, to be honest. I mean, and you go back to the 90s. I mean, we had troops everywhere. Somalia, Kosovo, Bosnia, and there was, no clear direction, no clear mission. Mm-hmm. It just, that's for another show.
Yes.
I'm just once again disappointed in my representation. Is that a shock to anybody?
That should not be a shock to anybody.
But if you're 30 years old, I mean, you don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Right.
Hell's NATO.
Go back, watch Rocky IV, and get back to me.
Yeah, I mean, and everything was tried. You go back in foreign policy, everything from détente in the 70s to, the Truman Doctrine and the Marshall Plan, Vietnam, Korea, I mean, up to the Bush Doctrine. I mean, it's our foreign policy has been pretty aggressive over the last, we haven't declared war for 78 years now, yet we've had a lot of people get killed.
Right. Well, and you look at that, and we had a Cold War, which never really became hot per se.
Became lukewarm a few times.
It did, and we had a very staunch policy against communism, and I don't know. You can agree with or disagree with things like the Vietnam War or the Korean War, things like that. How much they helped, how much they hurt. You see China rising in the East now, and it's also, it's a Cold War that is verging on lukewarm, and there's been talk about what if it becomes hot based on just how they poke each other back and forth. So it is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Well, the history of communist countries is when you poke back, they quit poking for a while.
Yeah.
They've always backed down in front of, go all the way back to the Berlin airlift. That could have started a world war again.
Yeah.
3 years after World War II. But, the communists always, Bay of Pigs could have started a war.
Yeah.
Korea could have started a bigger war. There were people like Douglas MacArthur who wanted to make it a bigger war. And it could have been. So was it right or wrong? We'll debate that till the end of time.
Yeah.
It's just, we've got a new century with maybe different friends, maybe different enemies, and I don't think our thinking is moving in that direction. And I think the longer, we've been in Afghanistan for 17 and a half years now, Jay. And what are we accomplishing over there?
Absolutely nothing.
So, I reached the point where we've got permanent bases we're setting up over there. For what?
Bring them home.
The Afghans don't want to take care of themselves after 17 years. Just think, if you were born around 9/11, okay, you're about to graduate in June, and we've been in Afghanistan the entire time.
That's crazy.
So, all right, onward we go.
Oh, boy.
Because it's only going to get worse here when we. That took a while to get into what we're talking about, but that was good.
It's good stuff.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So
anytime we talk about history, Jay, I always feel like it's good, informative stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a subject I don't have a good conversation with too many people.
Yeah, and a lot of people. That stuff gets lost because schools don't teach it anymore, and 3/4 of the books that are written from a slant, and it's not the correct history.
As somebody who's written a book on the Civil War, I can tell you real quickly.
Yeah.
The best books I have read were written by Southerners.
Yeah.
Because history is written by the victors a lot.
Yeah.
And the way the Civil War is viewed today is such a disservice to what it was really like.
Yeah.
We could go into this in some other show, but it's viewed very black and white today, and of course that is as false of a narrative. We want that to be true, but it really isn't, and we all know it.
Yeah.
We're fallible human beings on both sides.
Yes, absolutely.
So, maybe we'll have to do that sometime. We can discuss that with my brilliant book I wrote on it.
Yeah.
So,
all right,
I'll bring it in.
Sounds good. I like that. Yeah. So it has been a while since we opened the show. We opened it with a song called "Give Me Back My Hometown." We're kind of bringing it full circle. We started with the Local Lowdown and went into kind of a national feel, but this kind of ties the two together. We're going to introduce you to a group this week that we haven't really talked about much, if at all, on the podcast. They are one of the premier organizations in in the country, as far as yeah. And when I say premier, it's not a good thing.
No.
But what they do is they're responsible for creating great walkable urban places, manufacturing neighborhoods, and all sorts of like social engineering and that kind of stuff. They are called the Congress for the New Urbanism, or CNU. You can find their website at CNU, as in congressnewurbanism.org. So yeah, these guys are they're fantastic.
Yeah. So Jay, why don't you explain to the audience what's old urbanism and what's new urbanism? Is that like the Old Testament and the New Testament?
Well, old urbanism, centered around, you would have neighborhoods kind of pop up, and you would form that neighborhood based on the needs of that neighborhood as it sprung up. It was more market demand. You had people move to an area, you would build. Sometimes you do run into issues with that. The streets weren't wide enough, or the development doesn't really handle the density, or this or that. But new urbanism, it's about pre-planning. It's about
the same stuff that we've been talking about.
It is, yeah. It's about taking the sub out of suburban. It's about taking your small towns out in greater Minnesota and making them implement the same kinds of things like roundabouts and mixed-use development that you see everywhere else in suburban communities, in urban communities.
And, of course, the war on cars.
Yes, that's a part of it as well. That's the whole walkable, bikeable.
Yeah, in fact, they state, we're at cnu.org, by the way, if you want to follow along at home, just like Herb Carneal used to say, if you want to score at home. That's what you want to do. Founded in 1993. Oh, what happened in 1993? Right after
Something
what?
About Bill Clinton.
Yeah. An executive order, could it have been?
It could have been.
What was in 1992 then? What was that year?
Oh, well.
Somebody been in Rijo? Somebody meeting Rijo? just out of nowhere. I mean,
right.
New Urbanists. Who's a new urbanist? What
Sounds like a band, the New Urbanists.
Designed cities, towns, neighborhoods, public places to help create community, healthy places for people and business to thrive and prosper. We stand for the restoration of existing urban centers and towns within coherent metropolitan regions, the reconfiguration of sprawling suburbs into communities of neighborhoods and diverse districts. So let me translate that statement. We're going to stop where people can live. We're going to stop the sprawl. In other words, the spreading out of where people live.
Make it more dense.
We're gonna make it more dense. We're gonna make it harder to drive. We're going to try to force you out of your car so you can walk and bike and cartwheel and somersault and whatever your way to work and back, or to anywhere and back.
Yes.
Am I translating that correctly, Jay?
I believe so. Yes.
Now I'll tell you what is really scary about this is how they want to go about it. They have this entire thing about. I don't know what order you want to go in, Jay, but they have a city code review which let me tell you something. City code review sounds good.
Sure.
Because we've we did
that in Crystal.
Right. We've talked about changing city codes and how they are obsolete and how they need I don't like to call it updating.
Yeah.
But see my vision of changing a city code.
Now, before you get into that,
Yeah.
I just want to say all of this deals around like 5 centralized points.
Oh, of course.
Transportation, equity, health, finance, and environment. So all of this relates back to that. Okay, I'm just setting the stage.
So are those? So yeah, they always have their pillars of things that they kind of like the 3 E's of sustainability.
Like you, and you.
Yeah, I don't remember what they were. The 3 E's of
eugenics.
Yeah, eugenics. Equity, something and something. I don't know. But they have it. This is called the Project for Code Reform.
Okay.
And it is one of the...
Sounds lovely.
It is on their website. What it seeks to do, though, is very, very scary. Because the first thing they acknowledge, and it's under the title of How Can We Accelerate Local Code Reform? Question mark.
And now they don't mean take out old code, I imagine.
No, what they mean is, first off, the first thing they acknowledge, and I'm paraphrasing this because our audience is smart. I don't have to read this to you. The first thing they acknowledge is that they have to do this incrementally over time.
Oh, of course.
Now, that's a big admission.
Yes.
Because they talk about building community support. Now, what they mean by that is if I were to tear everything down and rebuild it, everybody would be at City Hall with pitchforks.
Yep.
If we incrementally make changes and we rebrand, we resell, it's death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
You know, let me make a analogy here. I want to take half your money, Jay, in taxes. And right now, I'm just going to make up numbers.
Okay.
10% of your money is going to taxes right now. If I pass a law taking 50, you're going to come at me with a shotgun. If I make it,
it's likely.
If I make it 12, and then 15, and then 19, and 22,
notice.
All of a sudden, this is what's happened in our country with the income tax, state income tax, sales tax. Once it's at 1%, somebody will make it 2, somebody will make it 4, somebody will make it 10. That's what they're talking about doing here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want single-payer health care? Well, if that would have happened in the 1960s, Washington would be in the Atlantic Ocean right now.
Yeah.
But if they start with Medicare, then go to Medicaid, then require this to be covered, and subsidize this, then pass this over 2 generations, 3 generations, all the while. So that is, again, in a nutshell, that's what they're saying here.
Yeah.
That we can't do what we want to do because people aren't going to want it.
Right.
So we have to change one thing, do it with a sales pitch. Change another thing, do it with a sales pitch. Nowhere in here do they mention asking the public if the public wants this. It's all about trying to sell it.
Yeah.
And endlessly trying to sell it.
Well, how many times have we heard about bike lanes that the public shouldn't have a choice if there are bike lanes, just where there are bike lanes?
Yeah, or how wide, or whether what it connects to.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, taking away our ability to do this is a big part of this. Now, I'll tell you what's another big part of it is how they want to do this code reform. Now, again, I'm paraphrasing here because I'm interpreting what they're saying.
Yes.
They say one thing, but you and I know the real meaning.
Yes.
We all know what they want. They want denser housing, TOD, mixed use.
Yeah.
How are they going to get it using the code how are they going to get it using the code?
Bike lanes, road diets.
Narrower roads. How do they do that? How does a city force that change to happen?
How do they force that to happen?
What's the first thing they do?
Well, first thing they do is hire a firm to come up with a plan.
Okay. That's not what I was thinking, but that's probably the first thing they do. Would be the second thing they'd do.
Well, then after that,
you and I are always thinking alike, so I just want to see how...
they send it to the planning committee.
Okay. What's the planning commission do with it?
They sit on it for a while, and they talk about it, and
they make zoning changes.
They do, yes.
That's the first recommendation.
That's what they recommend, yes.
But the zoning changes that they propose are not something that would grow freedom or competition or anything. It would restrict what could go somewhere.
Right.
You change R1 to R2, R1 developers can't go in there anymore.
Right. Or
you change C1 depending on how you define that.
Right.
Or you change agricultural to this, or you do that. All of a sudden, you're limited. They want to change the code to make these changes happen.
Yeah. Yes, they do.
Big difference with that when we talk about reform. And then, of course, they recommend all the financial tools. What are they talking about?
They're talking about TIF.
Talking about
grants. They're talking
abatements.
about abatements. Yeah.
They're talking about anything that will make that happen. The city deciding what can go somewhere and can't go somewhere by a very narrow interpretation.
Right.
That's at the heart of everything that they're pushing.
Yes.
Because you have to have that. If you have freedom and you have new ideas and innovative people, you don't know what you're going to get with that. These people don't want that.
No, that's too messy.
Yeah, they want the same outcome everywhere. If you go to or Minnesota or Little Falls or Duluth or Minneapolis or Worthington or Granite Falls, they want the same things, the same principles, the same development, the same roads. I mean, they have a whole thing about how to change a freeway to a boulevard, how to change a street. I can't remember how they word it, but they have a whole thing about how to have urban streets in there,
which means wider sidewalks,
narrower roads, lower speed limit. So there's
and that's a huge part of it is slowing speed limits.
Right. So there's but it really this toolkit, this city code thing is probably the scariest thing. First off, I don't know that anybody would read this the way you and I do.
Right.
You know, like I look at this and I know what they're trying to say, but the admission that people would not like this, that we have to build community support, that we have to is critical, and they're basically admitting, you know what, people don't like this.
We have to sell people on this idea over time.
I mean, so, boy, that's an incredible. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. Somebody say the Project for Code Reform. That's what it's called. So you can see that on CNU.org.
And just to reiterate, I mean, we have seen where they have said whether, it's like a open house in air quotes again, or something like that, where it's like to get the public on board with this project, we have to go through a process to, bring them along. I mean, we've seen that in different words, but that is always their MO, though. It's like, we're going to build this, and then we're going to bring it to the public after we've already laid the foundation of it. After we go away, we make the plan, we bring it to the planning commission, who then changes the laws, and then once the zoning laws are changed, and it's time to build, and we've got the plan for what we're going to do, we bring that to the public, and then the public gives their feedback, but we really don't collect it in a constructive way that allows for any significant changes, might allow us to put up some trees where they want trees, or if something is going to be too noisy next to a residential neighborhood, maybe we'll put up some shrubs, or and those are the kinds of changes that people get to make about what happens in their neighborhood. Is basically how it's decorated. They get to pick out the carpet and the drapes, or
we're going to reduce the speed limit. Do we reduce it by 10 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour?
Yeah,
there's your freedom of choice.
Right.
Another thing they do is and this is partly through the code project, although it's not mentioned directly. Is they want to force in what is called LEED standards.
Of course they
LEE. Now you know what that is, but LEED. But, of course, they want to force this on everybody. A lot of governments have gone to this. This is the U.S. Green Building Council. Internationalist codes and standards. They want to enforce that on everybody.
Yeah.
That any business, all new homes, they don't want to hire developers unless they will acquiesce to these standards, which, of course, are way more expensive. For both the buyer, the seller,
Well, you know why? I mean, we've alluded to this before. Maybe we'll have to take a podcast and really break LEED down. But it stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And the contractors, the developers who work in this, getting LEED standards implemented in the things that they build, and don't be fooled. At some point, every new building is going to have to be up to LEED standards. Especially if you're in a Minnesota Green Step city, and just
again,
the monkey see, monkey do.
No, you know what it is? It's the same thing again. It's over time.
Yeah,
over 40 years. Yeah. Again, everybody.
You change the laws.
If you did it today, everybody would go crazy.
All right, but you put part of it in today.
Yeah, get your 2040 plan down, and by then, maybe everybody will.
It's not such a big deal. It's just using green materials when you build. It's not such a big deal. It's you guys need skylights instead of. But. So all the contractors and developers that build up to these LEED standards have to be LEED certified, which costs money, and then not to mention just the cost of implementing these new ordinances at the city level. It gets expensive.
The permit process.
A whole bunch of new permits.
Mm-hmm. You have to. Yeah. They won't grant you a building permit if you don't go through all these steps.
Yep. And so if you are a developer and you're not LEED certified, and you've got a city that is changing its ordinances to become LEED certified in a lot of the new buildings that are happening, guess what? You don't get to work in that city, or you've got to pay to go out and get certified.
Yes. And at some point, you're right. It will all be like that. But when you and I are retired fishing for crappies up on Mille Lacs in 2047, Mille Lacs' boats will all have LEED standards on there. No, and I'll tell you what. And I hate to scare people, but these groups are so far ahead when it comes to branding. They have an entire page dedicated to education and training. Yeah. This is training for everybody, for citizens, staff, their own members, potential architects, and people who work in the energy field. They have entire classes on street design, and they have a core curriculum that is broken down into a couple different things about creating great spaces with compact, multi-use, walkable, uniting, and engaging, and blah, blah, blah. Moving highways to boulevards, like I said. Lowering the speed limits, fewer lanes of traffic, things like that. So, I mean, they have entire workshops, and I guarantee you, people who are city planners, community development directors, city managers, are going to these trainings all over the country and bringing this stuff back to their cities. You don't have to be a member to do that. So, that's another pretty scary thing too, is all of the things that they're doing with it.
Absolutely, and they have, of course, these model cities that this is how you do it, because everywhere needs to be the same. So, I mean, they highlight Boston and Chattanooga, Madrid.
Chattanooga.
Yeah, Chattanooga, Tennessee. You
right
guys
in the
should know
heart
better.
of, yeah.
Milwaukee.
They're pretty bad.
Paris on the Pompidou Expressway. Georges Pompidou. Portland, of course.
Portland always.
San Francisco, of course.
Usually a city from Colorado
Yeah.
on there, but
not
Texas.
this time. Vancouver.
There's always the liberal part of Texas that's usually.
Well, none of them have model cities,
Really?
although they have 3 chapters of Congress of the New Urbanism there in Texas. But and then like Seoul, South Korea, on the Cheonggae Freeway. This is all stuff that you're supposed to look to and say, "Oh, this is the good stuff here. This is how you build it. This is what you do." But they do have these campaign cities which represent places across the world where highway removal efforts. So yes, they are engaged in highway removal efforts. I-35 in Austin, Texas. The Skyway in Buffalo. I-345 in Dallas.
Buffalo, New York.
Denver, so there's your Colorado one.
Always Colorado.
Yeah, I-375 in Detroit. Hartford, Connecticut. Long Beach. And Miami. Niagara Falls. New Orleans. New Haven, Connecticut. Rochester. Not Minnesota, I'm sure. Seattle, of course. Somerville, South Bronx. There's your New York, St. Louis.
How can you
Toronto.
How can you redo the Bronx?
Just the Sheridan Expressway. Nothing big.
They tear down the Brooklyn Bridge. Okay, that's the last thing Brooklyn has by itself since they took the Dodgers.
Yes, it's true.
I'll tell you what. Here, I want to tell you. This goes with their pitch.
Yes.
Making the case. They have an entire page on tips on how to make the case.
Ooh. So, in other words, how to sell this to the public.
Right. I mean, keep it simple. Know your audience. Hey. Always good. Connect with the audience's values. Reference local places not far away.
Before you do that, I want to go back one. Connect with the audience's values. That is huge because you use what is important to them against them to push your agenda.
Right. That's an old politician's trick from way, way back.
Yes.
Here's another thing. Boy, this is maybe the most critical. When speaking to a general audience, go light on numbers and data. In other words, throw facts in the garbage.
Yeah.
They don't matter.
Right.
Use stories and anecdotes. For elected officials, numbers, especially those related to economics, can be very effective. And then they have these whole pages on how to make an elevator speech, how to talk about the economic benefits, and they have 2 entire sections on using the environment as the catalyst to why they want to do something.
Yeah.
There's the polar bears or something. Water quality is something they harp on over and over, that water and air quality, that if nothing else is working, always go to the water and air quality. Always scare people that their water's going to run out or be dirty or their air's going to be.
Yeah.
But they kind of have that as sort of because they don't word it this way, but they kind of have that as like a last resort.
Yes.
If this isn't working, go to the dirty water, dirty air argument, and that'll get everybody. Who wants dirty water and dirty air, right?
Yep.
So that's their
right. Like everybody else wants that.
Yeah. But here's the thing. it really isn't. It's important to understand how these people tick, because I already know what they're trying to sell. I don't have to read this.
Right.
You and I don't have to read. We already know what they're trying to sell. How they sell it and how they go about it is where it's really important.
Yes.
Because the zoning is big. The claiming the environment's going to be harmed, which a lot of people fall for, is nothing more than a branding campaign. That's all that is.
Mm-hmm.
Is, if this isn't working, we do this. And I mean, if you want everything looking like St. Louis Park, okay, or go to Minneapolis where you can't drive. I mean, that's where we're headed with this new urbanism. And again, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Small towns, rural America are under attack every single day by groups like this. If these groups could destroy greater Minnesota and bring everybody to St. Cloud, Duluth, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Rochester, they would do it in a heartbeat.
Uh-huh.
So that ultimately is the goal. And again, slowly. It could take generations. But there's an old saying, if you don't know freedom, you can't lose it.
Yeah.
So, when are we at that point where people don't know freedom anymore the way you and I would define it, who don't know it the way our moms and dads would define it, who don't know the way our grandparents would define it?
Well,
we've redefined freedom every 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, I think that, unfortunately, the generation that's coming up doesn't know that, when you have people that are arguing against freedoms, wanting to limit freedoms, wanting to limit the First Amendment, wanting to limit the Second Amendment, we've already got that.
Well, and I go back to modern civics, Jay. I mean, how many adults do you think, if I walked into any place with people of any age, how many of them, can recite parts of the Constitution to you?
None of them.
I don't know about none. A pretty low amount.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, so how many people can explain to you why we have an electoral college, or why we have co-equal branches of government, or why we have? How many people could tell you what the Federalist Papers are? I mean, it is. We've so lost what I don't want to say lost. Mm-hmm. Are losing what made America so special in the first place.
Yes.
Which is the guaranteed rights endowed on us by our Creator.
I would agree.
And even
with
that is taboo to say now.
Right. Yeah. Well, what was it the other day? I saw that Democrats were trying to get rid of
So help me God. In the oath.
Right.
You know how that started in the presidential oath?
No.
When President Washington was sworn in,
he just said
spontaneously said them.
Yep.
And then he gave, this is another thing he did. I don't know why I'm bringing this up. He walked in to a joint session of Congress, the first Congress ever, and gave a 20-minute speech.
Yeah.
And it was dubbed an inaugural address, even though he never intended it for it to be.
Yeah.
And then every president after that copied what he did.
Huh.
So it was added innocently, but Washington said, so help me God, and he kissed the Bible.
Yep.
And that was where it came from. So, so 200 and, so that was what, 1788?
Yeah.
1789?
Yeah, 17.
So 220 some odd years of tradition here.
Yeah.
Or just 230 years exactly, actually, in March, because the swearing in date was different then.
Right.
It's going to be erased, I guess, by,
Yeah.
I mean, religion under attack every single day. Christianity under attack, I should say. I mean, I don't believe religion, generally speaking, is.
Right.
But these groups, these new urbanism groups, it's just I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but I mean, the amount of groups out there, call them what you want, that literally are plagiarizing each other to push the same things. What? Why is this happening?
Well, you bring up a good point. There are a ton of these groups, and they all seem to be getting money either from foundations or the government. We've talked about foundations in a prior podcast.
Why are they doing it?
It's like a spider web. They can get sweet jobs coming out of college, these 23-year-olds that, we look at just the Congress for the new Urbanism. They've got a whole list of affiliate organizations like all of these do, and it's not the same affiliate organizations under each organization. But if you hear about any of these, I would run in the opposite direction, like the Form-Based Codes Institute, where they want standards for form-based codes which are their standards, of course. They don't want anybody else's standards. The National Town Builders Association, they build smart growth neighborhoods that are economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable. Your favorite, and of course,
when I say the S word, it's something different. It means something different.
Yes, but.
They have pages of member groups, benefactor members. I'm not really sure what that means exactly.
People who give money.
Yeah. Or get money, one of the two.
Benefactors give money, I think.
There's a lot. But they've got, this group's got a whole, and remember, they're a 501c3, and that's critical.
Of course they are.
Yeah, that organization part of it is.
It's another partisan group that fronts as a nonpartisan group and then just pushes all this stuff that most of us that listen to this podcast wouldn't agree with in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, the 501c3 portion of that is it's
a joke.
Yeah, it really is a joke. It's become a huge joke how they can shelter this. Yeah. So just another group. But I mean, we didn't even scratch the surface of it here.
No.
But you know what it's like. You can go to the website and read this. We don't need to regurgitate it to you.
Right.
But again, coming to a city near you, they're going to have a plan for a revitalizing downtown.
Yes.
And the plan will have sidewalks, mixed use, higher density, tougher to drive, streetscaping. I guarantee you, all of that stuff will be among 20 other things I'm not thinking of. Yeah, 20 other things I'm not thinking of. New standards, new building standards, always higher density, probably subsidized. Limited parking.
Adding parking for bikes.
Right, because all that's mentioned
transit,
in there.
Yeah.
TOD, centered around a bus stop, something like that. Again, go into your comprehensive plan. Guarantee you'll see these words.
Yep.
It is. Yeah. How did these words? How did these words get in everywhere? It just amazes me how new terms come out and then they're just repeated over and over again.
Well, I'm sure these people actually wrote their plans and thought of this
baloney.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't get through that sentence.
It happens in all issues. How does global warming become climate change? How does welfare become assistance? How does abortion become reproductive rights?
Because people that are part of these think tanks
investing?
in Washington hand these terms down to groups that are at a state level or a regional level that get down to the local level.
But why does the media play along with it? Why do they change with everybody else?
That's why
I don't change. But,
no,
but I mean, it's not spending; it's an investment.
Right.
Pretty soon, everybody's saying an investment. It's not an illegal alien; it's an undocumented worker.
Right.
So we've wordsmithed this to. I go back to what Frank Luntz always talks about. Words are the most important thing out there, or how you say something.
Yeah.
And I hate that so much.
They
but
changed
he's
the language.
So right.
Yeah.
And I remember he used to talk about it's not tort reform, it's lawsuit abuse reform. He used to lecture conservatives on you're not speaking correctly. So there's I think President Trump's changed that a little bit.
Yeah.
He's speaking directly, but not enough people are following that. I thought maybe that would change things. It really hasn't.
No.
It's almost isolated him instead. It's just kind of
right.
I don't know. I think it's man, this wordsmithing stuff is just. I mean, who came up with sustainable? I want to know who came up with sustainable. I still blame the Club of Rome, but I mean, who came up with sustainable?
Well, that's a good question.
Wherever they are, I want to parachute in, and I mean, I hate that. I hate that word as much as I hate oatmeal. I can't stand it. Don't tell me you like oatmeal.
I like oatmeal.
Chica. Next thing you know, you're going to say you like mushrooms.
I do.
Oh,
of course, there's not much I don't like.
Tell me you don't like black olives.
I like black olives.
Oh, Jay, you're killing me here.
Hummus, I don't like. That's kind of it tastes like.
I don't know what that is, and I want to know.
Yeah, you're better off.
Well, doesn't that fly? A hummus bird?
Cottage cheese.
I don't mind cottage cheese, but I can't look at it.
Yeah.
I can't look at it.
Looks like a bowl of maggots.
It looks like I don't know what it looks like, but it's just But I actually think it's pretty good, but I just can't look at it.
Can't do it.
And you can't eat things like that with a spoon. I don't use a spoon very often.
Yeah.
If I have to use a spoon for something other than cereal, I usually don't like it.
Yeah.
Cereal and soup.
Pudding.
Yeah, see, I don't like pudding very much either. No, it's like I'm eating poop. I just can't. It's all I think about.
You could go to like butterscotch or vanilla. There are other flavors, not just chocolate.
I don't know. I can't do it. It's just like I don't know why.
Wow.
Never been a pudding guy.
Huh. Wow.
I know. I don't look like I turn down very much to eat, but I haven't missed too many meals.
Are you sure you don't belong to like the Bicycle Alliance or Congress of the New Urbanism?
If I was on a bike, underneath it'd be the San Andreas Fault. So I don't ride much. Although I'd like to. I would like to, but
you'd like to run through some stop signs as well?
But it's almost like I don't do it is like my way of rebelling.
Yeah.
That
absolutely.
I'm not going to conform and wear those dorky helmets, and knee pads and I would have just. I mean, the funny thing is, I remember when I was a kid, I never wore a helmet.
No,
I biked everywhere. I rollerbladed.
Yeah,
I skateboarded a little bit.
Yeah,
I wasn't very good though. My friends were, but I wasn't. I would usually be on rollerblades or on a bike, and I fell all the time and got hurt, and scraped up, and
lived to tell
went
about
on.
it.
Yeah. So it's just
oh, I know. I would build jumps and take my bike off a jump, fall, skin myself up.
I used to laugh at people with the helmets. I'm like, what the hell is that? Jeez, spandex pants. You can see their sweat marks. I'm like, oh, what the heck?
Oh,
they're terrible.
Yeah.
So the Center for New Urbanism. Now, did we? Like I said, we didn't even scratch the surface, but just another group to look out for. Another group that these foundations and all that, and these businesses are. Don't tell me you don't have money out there, you rich people. If you got money to throw out this crap,
yeah,
then buy another yacht. Okay, that's a way better thing to do with your money. Send a kid through college.
Yeah,
do something like that with this crap. You don't need a place to bike, right? That's not what people need.
No.
So, and ultimately, we're the ones that are going to finance this crap.
Oh yeah,
it's all going to be on our backs.
Yeah, that's it. Bicyclists certainly don't pay for their bike lanes.
They will when I'm governor.
Yeah. The
BST.
It's coming.
Remember that episode? I asked you what 100 times 11 was?
Yeah.
I was so excited about the bicycle sales tax that I couldn't.
You didn't.
And the revenue raised. We'll use, again, we're going to use their term, not taxes, it's revenue.
Right.
Right? So. Yeah. But I'm going to make them pay their fair share. We'll have a bicycle tollway.
There we go. I like that.
Well, you got one for cars.
Yeah. Why not?
Multimodal tollways.
Yeah. You want to not ride in traffic? You can pay the toll.
Exactly. You want to not scooter or not walk or whatever? Hey, pay like everybody else does.
There we go. I like it.
Nice regressive tax to put on everybody. Hey, you know what? They want to may have a proposal to tax me. I'm going to make instead of sitting there knuckling under, which is probably what's going to happen. No, I'm going to propose to tax them.
There we go.
That's right. I used to have a saying when I was younger. You screw me, I screw back harder.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing here.
Increase taxes on like patchouli oil and
bike helmets. They'll be, oh yeah, the BHT, the bike helmet tax. Water bottles, bike water bottles. Yeah. So what would that be? WBT?
Yeah. WBT.
Water bottle. We can. Oh my God, we can come up with this all day.
It'd be great.
What are the little reflector things? What are they called?
I don't know. Reflectors?
The BRT. We'll give not bus rapid transit. It's the bike reflector tax. I'm like, I'm a spandex. We'll tax those ugly spandex pants.
Then we could have
sweat-free. The sweat-free ones we're going to tax at a higher rate.
The VFT.
What's that?
The vegan food tax.
Wow. I'll tell you, you know, when I think about what can government tax that they're not already taxed, we've just come up with a whole bunch of them.
Absolutely. I support all of those like wholeheartedly.
The bike reflector tax. then what we're going to do after a while is add a surcharge on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Let me tell you something. Then we're going to use it to build roads.
Yep.
How's that sound?
Yeah. Oh, I got it. The bike helmet tax. Helmets are only good for a 5-year period, and they come with a sticker on them so that you know when
end of life.
Absolutely. You got to get a new
life cycle helmets.
Oh, wow.
I'll tell you what. You know what?
We could be the best liberal politicians or the worst.
We come up with more good ideas. Actually, we're very good at coming up with bad ideas.
Community solutions right there.
That's right. That's what I always say. We are community solutions, so it is up to us to present alternatives.
Right.
And we are doing it. You want to fund all this? I'm fine with it. Huh? The BST, the BHT, the BRT, the spandex tax. Yeah. We're gonna do the sweat-free spandex tax. We're gonna have. Do they wear like goggles or something, or eye black or something?
I don't know.
Well, the sunglasses tax only for bikers,
right?
Not for everybody else. But if you come to the gas station to get your sunglasses and a bike, you have to pay the tax. So we'll get all that. Maybe we can get a foundation to give us money.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
Yeah, those would be common sense solutions. They're not going to fund that. All right.
Yeah, we've gone way over as always. Good stuff.
It's fun.
Always good stuff.
Yeah.
What show can you listen to that talks about the new urbanism, talks about the drunken mayor of New Brighton, talks about NATO, and a survey about whether or not you're gay, lesbian,
trans
sex for
male
money,
or trans man.
Yeah. What show talks about all of that? Find me another one.
We cover the gamut here.
The work we put in, it's incredible.
Ugh.
Jay, where do you find us? Where are we? Are you listening to us right now? You found us. But where else can you find us?
You know, you see this kind of stuff happening in your city. You hear these buzzwords. You look at your comprehensive plan, and you see that they want to rearrange everything and make everything you love about your city hateable. You give us a call. You give us an email. Here's our email address. It's commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That is commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. We'll get back to you. We'll talk about it on the podcast. We'll blog about it. We'll come out to your area and talk about it. I don't care. It is our goal to build a team of 20,000 people across the state sitting in elected and appointed positions that are helping to form common sense solutions rather than just be a mouthpiece for all of this garbage that gets passed down from these national organizations. So what you need to do is get a hold of us. We'll help you out. We'll be more than happy to help you out. Again, COMMsolutionsMN@gmail.com. We're going to go away for another week, and we're going to come up with another fantastic podcast for you. So don't you go anywhere. Just tune in and pass it along so that everybody around you is as smart as you are. We've done our part, and we love you, Minnesota. Now it's your turn to get to work.
Take my life, caught a break between the lines. Don't let me be. If I get too caught up